Jalin Turner retires.
Jalin Turner retires.
And what were we saying
Big
before
story.
this fight? What were we saying before the fight?
Uh, what were we saying?
Well, I was saying, basically that, listen, Jalen Turner's past performances have been hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Jalen Turner we're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets, choked out by Ignacio. Not choked out, but submitted.
He did. And
And
real quick, when I watched that, I was like before he even retired, right? I was like, I was like, that's some bullshit. Like, I don't like to see that. That submission, it wasn't like I was like, damn, Ignacio's like way better than Jalin. Exactly what Jalin said in the post fight thing. He's like, I could have gotten out of that if I had the fire in me. I just don't got that fire anymore. And I saw that, like, right then and there, I reacted. I was like, that's a
yeah.
shitty way to go. It wasn't like Themba getting tapped out by Vicente. Jalen's was really lazy.
Or even Bruno Ferrio, that armbar he had against
Right.
ooh, ah.
Certain submissions where they just kind of tap and they don't really fight back. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah, and you know what? And this is a game of this is a competitive game, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have that fire and that competitiveness in you to want to be a dog out there and to want to, get a victory, honestly, it might be the best thing for him
Yeah.
because he's 29, about to be 30. A lot of these guys that roll into their 40s still fighting, still chasing. It's like, what are you chasing now?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is a blessing in disguise where he's not going to get any serious damage in the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
This has a shelf life. Nobody can beat Father Time in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he finds what else that is going to pay his bills now instead of later.
Yeah. I think something people don't really talk about a lot, and just from I guess training a little bit in the past, I experienced it, so maybe I can speak on it a little bit. I think everybody also handles it differently. But let's say you're getting ready for a competition, right? I mean, this is just because he speaks to his mental health. This is what I think he might be referring to. He's been getting ready for these fights, training to get ready to fight another man who's trying to kill you. The constant like sizing up and the constant self-doubt. I don't think maybe he's super depressed by any means. I think that just the constant preparation for fights, having opponents on the horizon, and that self-doubt for year after year.
Grind.
It grinds on you, dude. And imagine when you don't have a fight booked and you also don't have to have that anxiety. Because think about it like this, right? If you don't go to the gym and you're an average guy and you don't go to the gym for a week, you're fine, right? There's nothing crazy happening. Now, if you're a UFC fighter and you don't train for a whole week, right? Think about the anxiety that causes, especially if you have a fight booked,
Sure.
And I think Jalen's been experiencing a lot of that. I think he hasn't really been able to find his foot in training, and it's causing a lot of anxiety leading up to fights. He's not performing well in the fights, and it's like a recipe that's, kind of falling apart.
Yeah, in any sport at the highest level, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're judged by your results. And your results a lot of times start in training behind the scenes. So when you get to the big game, you're going to perform at your highest. But the moment, I don't give a fuck what sport it is, tennis, basketball, golf, MMA, the moment you lose the fire to want to compete, you've already lost.
Mm-hmm. Because then it becomes a burden.
And it does become a burden. It's a job now where you don't have a passion for it anymore.
Yeah, because there's no fire.
There is no fire. There's a lot of fighters that, we can name right now that have that fire, determination to want to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
And they're willing to do whatever it takes because they're so focused and hypersensitive to what they want to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
But he lost it. You know what I mean? And if that's the case, I'd rather him say, I'm done, instead of me seeing him get knocked out in the next fight. And I'm like, oh, dog, I wish you would have just called it a wraps before.
I completely agree.
And now you're injuring yourself, and now you're causing your body more harm, and you're getting older, and it's harder. Now you just at a perfect age to be like, if this is what you want, so be it. If he decides and takes some time off, and he's like, hey, you know what? I found the fire again. I want to come back. He's still young enough where he can do it.
Definitely. Take 2 years off. Come back when you're 32.
It's going to be harder, but you got to even have the fire even more.
You got to get the fire back. What if you do come back? Yeah,
you have to.
But
because it's like what you said about Cowboy. Like, why are you coming back, Cowboy?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you do have the fire. Maybe you are super competitive like that, but your body now is at an age where it's not when you're fighting these guys that are 30.
Exactly. So that's one of Jalen's, I guess, benefits to retiring young, he can always come back.
Yeah.
So we'll
and
see.
He lost on a submission, so it's like he didn't get fucked up.
No, he didn't get knocked out. That's not his last memory. So he could probably
Even
be down.
when I saw him fight Renato, remember, man, he should have bounced on Renato.
Mm-hmm.
Renato Moicano.
He should have.
He didn't. But he didn't. It's like, you got to have that dog in you, bro. Like, you got to.
Right.
See blood in the water, you better attack.
And who knows, you know, you win that one.
Especially in that sport. Especially in that sport.
Yeah, and then you win that Renato fight. You're on a whatever fight winning streak at the time. Who knows what kind of motivation you ride into the next fight. But, you know, these losses are a real trickle effect, too. Every fighter handles a loss differently.
You know, we'll see what happens next. We'll see what doors open up. And I've got to take care of myself, take care of my mindset, take care of my family. And, I can't risk going in there and not being mentally there, being 100%. It's not smart. I could, but it's not worth the risk. You know, so.